I woke up with the taste of blood in my mouth. Not real blood. At least, I hoped not. My tongue dragged across my bottom lip as I sat up too fast, my chest tight, my bonnet half sliding off my head, and my sheets twisted around my legs like something had tried to drag me under while I slept. The dream clung to me. A red door, children crying behind it, tiny fists beating against wood that looked too old to belong anywhere in London. Then the wolf, massive, black. So big it should not have existed outside of nightmares or those dramatic fantasy films men pretended not to like. It had stood in a pool of blood, its eyes burning like two pieces of gold pulled straight from hell, and it had looked at me, not past me, not through me, at me, like it knew my name. I pressed a hand to my chest and forced myself to breathe. "Not today," I whispered to my empty bedroom. "I do not have time for demonic Scooby-Doo bullshit today." My phone buzzed on the bedside table before I could convince my heart to behave. "Maya. Girl, if you're late, I'm telling them you got kidnapped by your own lashes." I grabbed the phone and squinted at the screen. "Me. Good morning to you too, demon." "Maya. Morning died when my alarm went off. Hurry up. Rich people charity waits for no black woman." I groaned and dropped back against the pillows for exactly 3 seconds before reality kicked me in the throat. The gala. The missing children charity gala. The event my boss had been losing her mind over for 3 weeks. The event that had half of London's wealthy elite pretending they cared about missing kids while sipping champagne that cost more than my house rent. I had helped organise flower arrangements, seating charts, security lists, donor plaques, press corners, and a silent auction that included a weekend in Monaco, a diamond necklace, and one ugly painting that looked like a goat having a spiritual crisis. I could not afford to be late, not because I loved the job, because rent was disrespectful. By 6 that evening, I was standing inside the grand ballroom of Red Moon House, wearing a black fitted dress, comfortable heels that were already betraying me, and the kind of smile women used when they wanted to keep their job and not slap somebody's father. Red Moon House sat in Highgate like it had been built by someone with too much money and a fear of joy. Tall windows, dark stone, iron gates, marble floors, chandeliers dripping light over people who laughed too softly and watched too carefully. Everything about the place felt expensive. Not rich, expensive. There was a difference. Rich people wanted you to notice their money. Expensive people knew you already had. Maya stood beside me near the entrance table, holding a tray of name cards and judging everyone with her whole face. "This place gives me haunted billionaire widow," she muttered. "Behave." "I am behaving. I haven't even stolen anything." "Maya." "What?" "I said I haven't." I bit the inside of my cheek to keep from laughing as another couple walked past us. The woman wore diamonds at her throat and a smile that had never experienced public transport. The man beside her stared at me for half a second too long before his gaze slid away. That had been happening all night. People staring, not in the normal rich event way, where they looked at the staff without seeing them. This was different, sharper, like they were listening to something I couldn't hear. The hairs on the back of my neck kept lifting. "Do you feel that?" I whispered. Maya glanced around. "Feel what?" "Like everyone here is off." She looked at the crowd again, then leaned closer. "Babes, they're rich. That's the default setting." "No, I'm serious. So am I." She nodded toward a group of men near the far wall. They were all tall, broad, dressed in dark suits, and standing too still. "Look at them. Tell me they don't look like those lions from that Netflix documentary." I followed her gaze. "Which documentary?" "The one where the lionesses looked all cute lying in the sun, then 5 minutes later they jumped some poor antelope like it owed them money." "Maya, please. I'm telling you, they look calm now, but one wrong move and somebody's getting dragged into the bushes." A laugh slipped out of me before I could stop it. Then I saw him, and the laugh died. He stood at the top of the ballroom steps, surrounded by that same dangerous stillness, but somehow heavier. Dark suit, broad shoulders, face carved in hard lines and arrogance. He wasn't the most beautiful man I'd ever seen in a soft way. There was nothing soft about him. He was beautiful the way a blade was beautiful. Cold, sharp, made for damage. People shifted when he entered. Not obviously, not dramatically, but enough. A step back here, a lowered gaze there. Conversations thinned around him like the air had decided to behave. Beside him stood another man, leaner, but just as controlled, scanning the room like security that had been trained by the military and trauma. On the other side was a woman in a deep green dress, stunning, bored, and looking like she knew where all the bodies were buried because she had helped pick the outfits. Maya followed my stare. "Oh," she said, "that one is definitely the lion." I should have looked away. I didn't. The man's head turned. His eyes found mine across the ballroom. My stomach dropped so fast I almost reached for the table. For 1 second, everything went quiet. The clink of glasses faded. The string quartet blurred into a long, distant note. Even Maya's breathing beside me seemed to disappear. His eyes were dark from where I stood, but something moved behind them, something gold, something animal. No, absolutely not. I blinked, and it was gone. "Shannara," Maya whispered, "why is Mufasa looking at you like that?" "I don't know." "You owe him money?" "I don't know him." "Maybe you do in a past life. Maybe you broke his heart in 1872. "Shut up." But my pulse had started acting stupid. It beat in my throat, my wrists, between my ribs. I hated it. I hated that he was still looking at me like he had found something he wanted to ruin. Then he moved. Not walked. Moved. Down the steps, through the crowd, people parting before he reached them. His gaze never left mine. "Maya," I said quietly. "Yeah?" "If I get murdered, clear my browser history." "Girl, I already told you I would." He stopped in front of me. Up close, he was worse. Taller than he had looked from across the room. Bigger. His presence pressed against my skin, hot and suffocating, like standing too near a fire and pretending it didn't burn. His scent hit me next, which was ridiculous because men at charity galas were supposed to smell like cologne and bad decisions. He smelled like cedar, woody, and rain, and something wild underneath. His jaw tightened. The man looked angry. At me, like I had personally offended his ancestors by existing. "Your name," he said. Not asked. Said. My eyebrows lifted. "Excuse me?" His expression did not change. "Your name." Maya made a tiny sound beside me. Not fear, exactly. More like her spirit had sat up with popcorn. I gave him my customer service smile, the one with teeth. "If you're checking in, the registration table is to your left." "I am not checking in." "Then congratulations." His eyes narrowed slightly. The woman in green appeared behind him, looking between us with sudden interest. "Ralph," she murmured, warning in her tone. Ralph. The name fitted him. Hard, old, miserable. He ignored her. "You should not be here," he said. My smile slipped. "Funny. I was hired to be here." "You need to leave." "Do you speak to everyone like you were raised in a cave, or am I getting special treatment?" Maya coughed into her hand. The corner of the woman's mouth twitched. Ralph leaned closer, and something deep inside me went still. Not calm, not peaceful. Still like prey. I hated that even more. "You do not understand what you are standing in," he said, voice low. "And you don't understand personal space." His nostrils flared. For 1 mad second, I thought he was smelling me. My skin prickled. Then his hand closed around my wrist. Not painfully. Not yet. But firmly enough that my body understood before my pride did. A jolt shot through me. Heat, shock, something bright and violent snapping under my skin. His eyes flashed gold. This time, I knew I saw it. The ballroom tilted. Ralph released me like I had burned him. His face twisted with disgust so raw it should have offended me before it confused me. "No," he said under his breath. I rubbed my wrist, my heartbeat going wild. "No what?" He looked at me like I was a death sentence wearing lip gloss. The woman in green went very still. The serious man beside Ralph appeared at his shoulder, his gaze cutting to me, then back to him. "Alpha," he warned. Alpha? What kind of rich people sex club title was that? Ralph's attention stayed on me. His voice dropped lower, colder, each word clean as a knife. "I, Ralph Blackwood, Alpha of the Red Moon Pack, reject you as my mate." For a moment, I honestly thought my brain had stepped out for fresh air. Mate? Pack? Reject? Maya whispered. What in the Wattpad hell? Something moved through the people nearby. A ripple. A silence spreading too fast. Faces turned, eyes fixed on us. Ralph looked like he expected me to collapse, cry, beg, or evaporate. Unfortunately for him, I had been raised by a Jamaican mother and London rent prices. Embarrassment did not kill me easily. I pulled my shoulders back and stared at him. "Reject me?" I said, loud enough for the nearest guests to hear. "Sir, I did not apply for you." For 3 whole seconds, nobody breathed. Not me, not Maya. Not the miserable-looking bastard who had just rejected me like I was a badly cooked meal. Then something cracked through the ballroom. Not a sound exactly, a feeling. It snapped under my skin, hot and vicious, like invisible wire being pulled too tight. The chandeliers trembled above us. Champagne glasses shivered on trays. Somewhere behind me, a woman gasped like she had been slapped. Ralph Blackwood went dangerously still. His eyes stayed on mine, but the gold in them sharpened until my stomach twisted. "What did you do?" he asked. I blinked at him. "Me?" His jaw flexed. "You refused." I refused being disrespected by a man with the emotional range of a locked coffin, yes. Maya made a strangled sound beside me. "Shan." "No, because what the hell is going on?" I looked around the ballroom at all the staring faces. Is this a charity gala or a cult recruitment evening? The woman in green dress stepped closer. Her gaze moved over me like she was trying to solve a puzzle she had not expected to find interesting. "Ralph," she said quietly. The bond didn't break. Bond. There was that word now, because apparently rejection came with accessories. Ralph's expression hardened. Impossible. The other man, the serious one who had called him Alpha, looked at me with open suspicion. "She is human," Ralph said, the word human leaving his mouth like something filthy. Something inside me sparked. Fear was there, yes, confusion too, but anger had always been quicker with me. "And you're rude," I snapped, "yet here we both are, suffering." Maya grabbed my arm. "Maybe stop antagonizing the tall psychopath." "I am not antagonizing, I am responding." "You are responding with no survival instinct." Ralph looked at Maya, and she shut her mouth so fast I almost checked if she had bitten her tongue. His attention returned to me. "You should have accepted it," he said. "Accepted what? You publicly embarrassing me? Sir, I don't know what kind of BDSM aristocrat nonsense you lot are into, but I did not consent to participate." The green-dressed woman coughed. It sounded suspiciously like a laugh trying not to die. Ralph moved closer. My body noticed before my pride could stop it. Heat rolled off him. Not normal body heat. Something thicker. Something that made every nerve in me wake up and start taking notes like traitors. "You are in danger," he said. "I was fine until you walked over." "You were never fine." That should not have hit me the way it did. Because for half a second I thought about the dream, the red door, the children, the black wolf standing in blood. Then a scream tore through the ballroom. Not rich person dramatic, real, sharp enough to rip the whole night open. Every head turned. Near the silent auction tables, a little boy in a white shirt and navy waistcoat stood frozen beside a chocolate fountain. I remembered him from earlier. Oliver, 7 years old. His mother was one of the speakers. She had cried on stage about her missing niece. A waiter stood behind him. Only he did not look like a waiter anymore. His shoulders had hunched, his mouth stretched too wide, his eyes were black. Not dark brown, not shadowed, black, like ink poured over marbles. He clamped one hand over Oliver's mouth and dragged him backward. The boy's feet kicked uselessly against the marble floor. For one horrifying second, nobody moved. Then Ralph did. One moment he was in front of me. The next, he was halfway across the ballroom. No blur, no sensible transition. Just gone. "What the fuck?" Maya whispered. Isaiah moved too. Chairs flipped in his wake, a table cracked, flowers scattered across the floor in a white and red mess. He reached the waiter thing before my brain had accepted that bodies could move like that. The waiter opened his mouth, fangs slid out. Long, wet, real. Maya screamed. I should have screamed too, but terror locked my throat shut. My mind kept rejecting what my eyes were seeing. Costume, drugs, special effects. Rich people were into weird shit, but fangs did not grow out of gums like that. Men did not move faster than cameras. Eyes did not glow. Ralph's did. Bright gold. The waiter, vampire, my brain supplied, then immediately tried to resign, threw Oliver across the floor. The boy hit the marble and rolled, crying. Ralph caught the vampire by the throat before it could reach him again. The impact of their bodies hitting the nearest pillar shook dust from the ceiling. People ran. Some screamed, some just stood there, blinking slowly as if half asleep. One woman laughed weakly and said something about too much champagne while blood sprayed across the white tablecloth beside her. That was when I realized not everyone's seeing the same thing. But I was. And Maya was. Lucky us. A man near the side doors bent double with a sickening crack. His suit tore at the shoulders, his fingers lengthened into claws. Dark fur pushed along his forearms, his face shifting just enough to stop being fully human. Maya grabbed me with both hands. "Shannara," she said, voice shaking. "That man is becoming a dog." "Wolf," I whispered. "Do not correct me right now." The half-wolf launched himself at another waiter who had pulled a girl from under a table. The girl screamed as the thing's fangs grazed her neck. I moved without thinking. "Oliver?" He was on the floor, sobbing, trying to crawl away while grown people trampled around him. Ralph had the first vampire pinned against the pillar. He turned his head slightly as if he had heard me over the chaos. Our eyes met, his face twisted with fury. "Stay there!" he roared. Absolutely not. I kicked off my heels and ran. "Shannara!" Maya shouted behind me. "You mad bitch!" Maybe I was. Oliver reached for me with a shaking hand. I grabbed him under the arms and pulled him against my chest. He clung to me, tiny fingers digging into my dress. "It's okay," I lied. "I've got you." Something hissed behind me. Cold rushed over my back. I turned. A second vampire crouched on top of the auction table, its mouth smeared red, its black eyes fixed on Oliver. Then its gaze shifted to me. It smiled. Not at the child. At me. My stomach dropped. "There you are," it whispered. Ralph hit it so hard the table exploded. Wood, glass, and silverware flew everywhere. I dropped over Oliver, shielding his head as shards rained down around us. The vampire slammed into the floor, but it twisted up with unnatural speed. Ralph grabbed it by the back of the neck and drove it down again. Marble cracked beneath its skull. Once. Twice. The third time, the sound changed. Wet. Final. I looked away too late. Maya reached us, breathing hard, eyes wide and glossy with terror. "Are we dead?" she asked. "Not yet. Not yet is a shit answer." Ralph rose slowly from the ruined table. Blood covered his hand. Not enough to bother him, apparently. He looked less like a man then. His shoulders were too tense. His eyes still burned. Something moved beneath his skin, as if a beast pressed against the inside of him, demanding release. Oliver whimpered against me. That tiny sound changed Ralph's face. Only for a second. The rage stayed, but something colder and older moved through it. Protection. Possession, maybe. Not of me, of the child. "Isaiah," Ralph said. The serious man appeared at his side with another child in his arms. I hadn't even seen him cross the room. 3 taken toward the service corridor, Isaiah said. 2 recovered. 1 escaped. Ralph's gaze snapped to the side doors. Then his eyes cut back to me. "You," he said. "Do not move." I let out a breathless laugh that sounded close to hysteria. "I'm sorry. Are you giving me instructions after killing a demon waiter in front of me?" Vampire, he said. Maya made a small noise. Nope. I stared at him. What? It was a vampire. Do you think correcting the species makes this better? His mouth tightened. Behind us, the ballroom lights flickered. The string quartet had abandoned their instruments. Guests were being pushed toward exits by men and women who moved with terrifying coordination. Security arrived too fast, not the police, his people. They surrounded the room, blocked phones, whispered into ears, guided shaking donors away with calm voices. A woman in a red dress looked directly at the crushed body near the pillar, then blinked like she'd forgotten why she was scared. What did you do to her? I asked. Ralph ignored the question. I tightened my hold on Oliver. Where is his mother? Safe, Isaiah said. How do I know that? You don't. Maya pointed at him. That is not comforting, beta boy. His eyes narrowed. Do not call me that. Then stop acting like you came with a warning label. I almost laughed. Almost. Then I saw the side corridor. A figure dragged itself through the spilled champagne and broken glass. Not dead. Not whole either. One of the vampires. Its body bent wrong, one arm twisted behind its back, black blood leaking from its mouth. Its eyes found me. The room seemed to tilt again. Ralph moved, but not fast enough. The vampire smiled with red teeth. The dream girl, it rasped. My blood turned cold. Ralph stopped. Isaiah stopped. Even Maya went silent beside me. The vampire's smile widened as if it had been waiting years to say the words. The dream girl is real. The vampire died smiling at me. That was the part my brain kept replaying. Not the blood, not the cracked marble, not Ralph Blackwood standing over the body with murder still burning gold in his eyes. The smile. The dream girl is real. I stood there with Oliver shaking against my chest while those words crawled under my skin and made a home there. Then Ralph looked at me. Whatever warmth I thought I had seen when the child cried was gone. He was back to stone, blood on his hand, suit ruined, face so cold he looked carved out of punishment. You saw too much, he said. Maya laughed once. It sounded broken. No shit, Sherlock. Isaiah stepped toward her. She stepped behind me. I would have appreciated the loyalty more if my own knees had not been acting like wet noodles. I want to go home, I said. No, Ralph replied. Just no. Not sorry. Not let me explain. Not you have every right to be traumatized because you just watched a fucking vampire try to eat a child beside a chocolate fountain. No. Something in me snapped. You don't get to say no to me. His eyes flashed again, and every survival instinct I owned packed a suitcase and left. I do. Maya grabbed my arm. Shan, maybe we can argue with the murder model when we're not standing near actual corpses. I looked around. The ballroom had become a nightmare, wearing expensive lighting. Men and women in dark clothing moved through the chaos too calmly, guiding guests, collecting phones, whispering into ears. A woman who had been screaming by the bar suddenly blinked and let herself be led away, her face blank like someone had wiped the last 10 minutes out of her head. My stomach turned. What are they doing to them? Protecting them, Isaiah said. That is not what protecting looks like. It is when humans cannot handle the truth. Maya made a high sound. Humans? Why did he say humans like that? Shannara, why did he say humans like that? I knew why. I did not want to know why. Ralph took one step closer. The vampires know your face. They know your scent. They called you Dream Girl. Until I know why, you stay under Red Moon protection. Protection? I stared at him. This is kidnapping with better flooring. His jaw tightened. Good. I wanted him annoyed. I wanted him human enough to be annoyed. Anything was better than the monster calm thing he kept doing. Call it what you want, he said. Oh, I will. We were not taken out through the front. Of course we weren't. Monsters apparently had service corridors. Isaiah carried Oliver away first, promising he was going to his mother. I nearly refused to let him go until the little boy reached for a crying woman being held near the far doorway. His mother sobbed his name, and only then did my arms unlock. Maya and I were marched through a panel hidden behind a wall of velvet curtains, down a corridor that should not have existed inside that house. The music and screams faded behind us, swallowed by thick stone and old wood. Red Moon House changed the deeper we went. The charity side had been chandeliers and champagne. This side was dark corridors, oil paintings, locked doors, and people who stopped talking when Ralph passed. Some bowed their heads. Some stared at me like I had entered wearing a bomb strapped to my chest. I clutched my phone so hard my fingers hurt. The second I got signal, I tried to call the police. No bars. Of course. Maya saw and pulled out hers. Mine's dead. It was on 80%. Maybe vampires drain batteries too. I don't fucking know, Shan. Today has expanded my understanding of bullshit. We were put in a guest room the size of my whole flat. That should have impressed me. It did not. Not when the windows had locks on the outside. Not when two large men stood guard in the corridor. Not when Ralph turned at the door and said, "Do not attempt to leave." I crossed my arms. Or what? His gaze dropped to my mouth for half a second. Just half. Enough to make something stupid and hot twist low in my stomach, which was offensive given the circumstances. "Or you will be caught," he said. Then he left. The door shut. The lock clicked. Maya and I stared at it. Then she dragged an armchair across the room and shoved it in front of the door. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Interior design." "Maya, I am barricading us in from Werewolf Downton Abbey." "We don't know they're werewolves." She turned slowly. The look she gave me was pure disrespect. "Girl, I'm just saying, a man turned into a wolf in front of us. Partially." "Oh, sorry, my mistake. A man partially turned into a wolf in front of us. Much more normal." I sat on the edge of the bed, still holding my phone. My hands were shaking now. I hated that. Hated it so much I shoved them under my thighs. "I recorded some of it," I said. Maya stopped moving. "What?" "At the gala, after the first scream. I think I hit video." I opened my camera roll. There it was. A 37-second clip. My heart jumped. I pressed play. The screen showed the ballroom lights, my own panicked breathing, Maya shouting my name, then static. Not normal static. Dark smears, warped sound, a flash of gold. Then nothing. The file crashed. I tried again. Same thing. Maya sank onto the bed beside me. "They've got monster copyright protection." I should have laughed. Instead, my eyes burned. I swallowed it down because crying felt like giving the night another thing it hadn't earned. "We're not crazy," I whispered. "No," Maya said, softer than before. "We're just fucked." Hours passed. Or minutes. Time got strange when your life fell through a trapdoor. We did not sleep. Maya searched the room for weapons and found a letter opener, a marble bookend, and a bottle of expensive lotion she said she could throw in somebody's eyes. I checked the windows. Locked. Thick glass. Too high to jump without breaking both legs and possibly my pride. At some point, a howl rose outside. Low, long, too close. Maya froze with the letter opener in her hand. Another howl answered. Then another. My body went cold from the inside. I thought of that Netflix documentary Maya had made me watch months ago. Lions in Africa, lying under gold sunlight, tails flicking lazily while the narrator spoke in that calm voice documentaries always used before violence. They had looked beautiful, almost sleepy. Then one moved. And suddenly the beauty had teeth. The wolves here were like that. Beautiful from a distance, terrifying when you realized you were sleeping inside the enclosure. A knock came at the door. Maya raised the letter opener like she was about to duel a ghost. "Relax," a woman's voice said. "If I wanted to kill you, I wouldn't knock. That would be rude." The door opened before we answered. The woman in the green dress stepped in carrying a tray with tea, sandwiches, and the expression of someone used to cleaning up Ralph-shaped disasters. "I'm Rena," she said, "unfortunately related to the Alpha." Maya pointed the letter opener at her. "Are you a werewolf?" Rena glanced at the tiny blade. "Are you threatening me with stationery?" "Yes." Bold. Useless but bold. I stood. We want answers. I know. Rena set the tray down. You deserve them. You also deserve sleep, therapy, and possibly a refund from whatever God handled tonight. But answers are what I have. Maya did not lower the weapon. Start with the fangs. Vampires. I closed my eyes. Hearing it out loud made it worse. And Ralph? I asked. Rena looked at me carefully. Werewolf. Maya whispered. I knew it. Alpha, Rena added, which means bigger ego, worse temper, more responsibility. And the mate thing? I asked. Her face shifted. Not pity. Concern. That, she said, is complicated. Before she could say more, the door opened again. Ralph entered like the room belonged to him. To be fair, it probably did. My fear reacted first, then my anger dragged it back by the hair. I said I wanted answers from someone with manners, I snapped. His eyes moved over the barricaded chair, the bookend in Maya's lap, the letter opener in her hand. You think that will stop anyone here? Maya lifted her chin. No, but it will make me feel involved. Rena sighed. Ralph, leave. No. I laughed, sharp and tired. Does he know any other word? Ralph ignored that. His gaze locked on me. The vampire that escaped will report what it saw. Your scent is in that ballroom. Your blood, your fear, your face. They will come for you. My throat tightened. I have a flat, I said. A job, a life. Not tonight. You can't keep us here. I can. The room went silent. Then from outside the window came a soft scrape against glass. Maya stopped breathing. I turned slowly. Beyond the locked window, on the dark lawn below, stood a massive black wolf. Its golden eyes stared straight up at me. And this time, no part of me could pretend it was a dream. The wolf did not blink. It stood on the lawn beneath my window, huge and black against the dark grass, with eyes like melted gold and a body built for tearing things apart. It looked too real to be a nightmare, and too nightmarish to belong in real life. Maya made a tiny sound behind me. No, she whispered. Absolutely not. I did not survive demon waiters to get stalked by Clifford the big bad wolf. Ralph moved to the window. The wolf lowered its head, not to me, to him. Then it turned and vanished into the trees, as if the shadows had opened their mouth and swallowed it whole. I looked at Ralph. Was that supposed to make me feel safer? It was patrol. Your patrol looks like it eats burglars whole. It does. Maya pointed at him. See, that is the kind of answer that makes people call the police. Ralph's eyes slid to her. There are no police for this. A cold silence settled over the room. That was the worst part. Not the threat, not the arrogance, the certainty. Rena sighed like she had aged 10 years in one evening. And on that cheerful note, we are going to try this again tomorrow with less alpha bullshit. Ralph did not look away from me. You will stay in this room tonight? I don't take orders from you. You will if you want to survive. I laughed because the alternative was screaming until my lungs gave out. You really know how to charm a woman, don't you? Something flickered across his face. Not softness, never that. More like his body had heard the word woman and hated how it reacted. Then he left. Again. The door locked. Again. Maya dragged the armchair back in front of it with unnecessary violence. I hope he stubs every toe he owns, she muttered, if he even has normal toes. Don't say that. I'm fragile. Neither of us slept. Not properly. We sat back to back on the bed, fully dressed, with the letter opener between us like it was Excalibur. Every howl outside made Maya curse under her breath. Every footstep in the corridor made my heart kick against my ribs. By morning I was running on fear, anger, and the kind of exhaustion that made everything feel slightly unreal. Rena arrived with breakfast. Maya stared at the tray like it had insulted her family. What's in that? Toast, Rena said. Tea, fruit. Drugs? Rena lifted one eyebrow. Do you normally drug toast? I don't know what werewolves do. Maybe that's foreplay here. I choked. Rena smiled. If we wanted you unconscious, darling, you would not see it coming. Again, Maya said, not comforting. Rena exchanged the tea for sealed bottles of water after Maya demanded something that has not been handled by pause. Then she announced we were going on a tour. I'm sorry, I said. A tour? A survival lesson. I'd prefer an Uber. And I'd prefer Ralph to develop emotional intelligence, but we work with what we have. That was how we ended up walking through Red Moon House with 2 guards behind us, Rena in front of us, and every wolf we passed pretending not to stare. They were too beautiful. That irritated me. Not pretty, not harmless. Beautiful the way lions were beautiful on Netflix, stretched out in the sun until the narrator's voice dropped, and suddenly something with hooves was running for its life. A woman carrying a laundry basket paused near the stairs and gave me a curious look. A man by the corridor lifted his head as we passed, nostrils flaring slightly. I stopped walking. Rena noticed immediately. Rule 1, she said. Do not run in front of wolves unless you want every instinct in the room to wake up. Maya looked horrified. So basically, no cardio, no sudden running, no screaming and bolting, no dramatic human panic. That's my entire brand, Maya said. Rena continued as if she had not heard her. Rule 2, do not bleed around unfamiliar wolves. I stared at her. You say that like I bleed recreationally. You are human. You cut yourselves on paper, furniture, kitchen knives, emotionally unavailable men. Ralph is not my man. Did I say Ralph? Maya made an ugly little laughing sound. Rena's mouth curved. Rule 3, do not stare an angry wolf directly in the eyes unless you're ready for consequences. I folded my arms. What consequences? A voice behind me answered. Submission, challenge, or death. I turned. Isaiah stood at the end of the hallway, dressed in black like he had been born in a security briefing. His face gave away nothing, but his eyes paused on Maya's ridiculous grip on the water bottle, like she might use it as a weapon. Maya looked him up and down. So, basically, we're in Jurassic Park, but with abs. Isaiah did not blink. No? You lot keep saying no, and yet the facts support me. Rena kept walking. Rule 4, do not enter the lower tunnels alone. That one made my skin tighten. What lower tunnels? The ones beneath the house. Why does an ancestral estate need tunnels? War, punishment, secrets, old magic. Rich families love basements. I did not like the way she said old magic. We passed a door with a silver mark carved into the frame, a crescent moon cut through by a straight line. If the alarms turn red, Rena said, tapping the mark, find a silver-marked room and lock yourself inside. Do not open the door unless you hear my voice, Isaiah's voice, or Ralph's. Maya raised her hand. Question. What if Ralph's voice is being mimicked by some monster bullshit? Rena paused. That is annoyingly sensible. Isaiah looked at Maya again. For half a second, something like approval touched his face. Maya saw it and immediately ruined the moment. I know, I'm hot and useful. His jaw tightened. You are loud. And yet you keep listening. Rena coughed into her fist. The last rule came when we reached a dark sitting room at the back of the house. The curtains were drawn. The air smelled like cedar, smoke, and Ralph. Of course he was there. He stood by the fireplace with his hands behind his back, looking like a criminally handsome funeral. If Ralph tells you to move, Rena said carefully, move first and argue later. I looked straight at him. No. Ralph's gaze pinned me. Yes. You cannot just command me around because you've got glowing eyes and emotional constipation. Rena whispered, and that is my cue to leave. She abandoned us with Isaiah, Maya, and 2 guards hovering near the door. Ralph stepped closer. My body betrayed me immediately. Heat crawled under my skin. The air between us thickened. I hated how my pulse reacted to him, hated the way some stupid part of me leaned toward danger like it wanted to be ruined by it. The bond, he said, means my wolf recognized you. Good for your wolf, I didn't recognize shit. You refused my rejection. I refused your audacity. That sealed it. Sealed what? His face hardened. A claim. The word hit the room like a slap. Maya went still. I took one slow breath. Try again. You are tied to me under wolf law. Until the bond is broken or accepted, you are under my protection, my authority, and my territory. A laugh left me, sharp and furious. Your authority? For your safety? No, don't dress it up. You said claim like I'm property. His eyes flashed. You do not understand what this bond does. I understand enough. I stepped closer before fear could stop me. I am not a lost suitcase you can claim at reception. His mouth tightened. You are safer if you stop fighting me. I would rather swallow glass. Something moved in his expression then. Something dark and hungry that had no business looking at me while Maya stood 3 feet away, ready to attack him with bottled water. His voice dropped. Careful, Shannara. My name in his mouth was a problem, not soft, not sweet. Possessive as hell. My phone rang before I could answer. The sound nearly made me jump out of my skin. Dave's name flashed across the screen. Relief and guilt punched me at the same time. I answered too fast. Dave! Where the hell are you? He demanded. I went to your flat. You're not there. Maya's not answering. What happened last night? Ralph's entire body went still. I turned away from him. I'm fine. You don't sound fine. I'm just helping with some post-event charity work. Maya closed her eyes like she was in pain. Dave went silent. Then, post-event charity work? Shannara, don't lie to me like I'm stupid. I'm not... Are you with that man? Ralph moved closer. I felt him behind me before I saw him. Heat, smoke, a storm-wearing skin. That is none of his concern, Ralph said. Dave heard him. Who the fuck is that? I squeezed the phone. No one. Ralph's eyes burned. Maya mouthed, bad answer. Dave's voice sharpened. I'm coming to get you. No, don't come here. Why? Because vampires were real. Because wolves guarded the lawn. Because the man standing behind me looked ready to murder him through a phone. I'll explain soon, I said. You better. The call ended. The silence after it felt alive. Ralph looked at the phone like it had offended him personally. The human boyfriend, he said. His name is Dave. I do not care. You very obviously care. His gaze snapped to mine. He is a liability. He is my boyfriend. The words came out before I thought about how they would land. They landed badly. The room seemed to shrink around Ralph. His jaw clenched so hard I thought bone might crack. Then he smiled. Not kindly. Not even close. Then tell your boyfriend to stay away from my gates. That night, I finally slept, and dreamed of iron gates slick with rain. Dave stood outside Red Moon House beneath a flickering street lamp, calling my name with blood on his shirt. When he lifted his chin, 2 fresh vampire bites marked his neck. The dream did not start with the red door. It started with rain. Cold London rain fell hard over the iron gates of Red Moon House, turning the driveway black and glossy beneath the street lamps. Dave stood outside the gates in the same grey hoodie he wore when he could not be bothered to pretend he had fashion sense. Only this time, blood soaked the front of it. "Shannara!" he shouted. I tried to run to him, but my feet would not move. Behind the gates, a black wolf paced in the shadows, huge and silent, its golden eyes fixed on Dave like it wanted to drag him away by the throat. "Open it," Dave begged. "They said you'd open it." Then he lifted his chin. 2 fresh bite marks sat on his neck, ugly and red, with dark veins crawling away from them like spilled ink. My stomach dropped. "Dave, don't move!" I tried to scream, but another sound rose behind him. Children crying. The driveway cracked open beneath the rain, stones splitting apart to reveal stairs leading down into darkness. At the bottom waited a red door, not painted red, not properly. It looked stained. Old stones surrounded it. Strange symbols crawled over the frame, twisting and shifting like they were alive. A burned voice whispered from the other side. Dream girl. I woke up choking on a scream. Maya screamed too, which did not help. She came up right beside me with her bonnet half off and the marble bookend clutched to her chest like a newborn baby. What? What is it? Is something in here? I swear to God, if it's another wolf, I'm going to shit myself and become everyone's problem. The door burst open. Ralph entered first. Of course he did. Barefoot, black trousers, black shirt undone at the throat, hair rough like he had either been asleep or killing someone in a more casual outfit. His eyes searched the room, sharp and gold-touched, looking for a threat. Behind him came Isaiah, Rena, and 2 guards. Maya pointed the bookend at them. Knock, you furry bastards! Ralph ignored her, his gaze fixed on me. What happened? I hated that my body reacted to his voice before my brain did. Hated the warmth that moved under my skin. Hated the sudden, stupid relief that he was there. I swallowed hard. I had another dream. His face closed. A nightmare. No. I pushed the blanket off, suddenly too hot, too trapped. A dream, a vision, whatever the hell you want to call it. Rena's expression sharpened. What did you see? Dave. My voice came out rough. Outside the gates, he had vampire bites on his neck. Ralph's jaw tightened at Dave's name. Of course, that was the detail his emotionally constipated brain chose to hate. He was telling me to open something, I continued. Then there was a red door under the house, under stone, with symbols around it. The room changed. No one moved. No one spoke. Even Maya noticed. Oh, I hate that, she whispered. Why did everyone do group silence? Group silence is never good. Ralph looked at Rena. Rena looked at Isaiah. Isaiah looked at the floor like it had personally betrayed him. I sat up straighter. What? Ralph's voice went colder. You have never been beneath this house. No. You have never seen the lower tunnels. No. His stare cut through me. Describe the door. I did. The old stone, the symbols, the strange red staining the wood, the crying behind it. By the time I finished, Rena had lost every bit of sarcasm from her face. Maya slowly lowered the bookend. So she's psychic now? Fantastic. Love that for us. Really adds variety to the trauma. Ralph turned for the door. Isaiah. No, I said immediately. He stopped. I threw the blanket aside and stood. Do not even think about going down there without me. His eyes flashed. You are not going. I laughed once. You keep saying things like they matter. That part of the house is sealed for a reason. And that reason might be connected to my boyfriend getting turned into vampire takeaway. Ralph's mouth tightened at boyfriend. Petty bastard. If the human comes to my gates, he will not be allowed through, he said. His name is Dave. I do not care. You care enough to look like you want to punch the phone network. Rena made a tiny sound that might have been a laugh if she had been suicidal. Ralph stepped closer. You will stay here. I stepped closer too, because apparently my self-preservation had died at the gala and nobody had held a funeral. If I saw it, I'm involved. His gaze dropped over me, quick but not quick enough. The room felt suddenly smaller, darker. His presence did that, made everything feel like it belonged to him, including the air in my lungs. You have no idea what walks under this house, he said. No, I don't, but I'm learning your world has a bad habit of coming for me whether I'm invited or not. For a second, something moved behind his eyes. Not kindness. Recognition. Then Maya got off the bed. I'm coming too. Isaiah stared at her. Absolutely not. Maya put one hand on her hip. Listen, Beta Boy, if Shannara is going to die in a rich werewolf basement, I deserve to be there as a witness for the lawsuit. There will be no lawsuit. That's what people say before they get sued. Rena sighed. Let them come. If Shannara saw the sealed door, keeping her away from it may be more dangerous. Ralph looked like he wanted to argue. Instead, he said, Fine, but you stay behind me, both of you. Maya muttered. Jurassic Park with abs. I fucking knew it. The lower tunnels were worse than I expected. Red Moon House above ground was all polished wood, old money, and murder in designer clothing. Beneath it, the estate became something older. Stone stairs spiraled down into cold darkness. Iron sconces burned with low blue flames that did not flicker when we passed. Doors lined the tunnels, some locked, some marked with silver. One room held weapons, another held maps, another had iron bars. I did not ask what those were for. Maya leaned close to me. Remember when the worst thing about work was rich women asking if the napkins came in champagne beige? I miss napkins. I miss not knowing vampires had admin. Isaiah glanced back. Quiet. Maya smiled sweetly. Make me. He stopped walking. She immediately hid behind me. Brave, I whispered. I said what I said from a safe distance. Ralph led us deeper. The air changed the further we went. It pressed against my skin, thick and humming, like the house had a heartbeat under the floorboards. My dreams had always felt far away after I woke up, like smoke breaking apart in daylight. This did not. This felt like I had walked back into one. Then I saw it. The red door. It stood at the end of a narrow stone corridor, half swallowed by shadow. The frame around it was carved with symbols I did not understand but somehow hated looking at. My stomach twisted. My fingers tingled. That's it, I whispered. Ralph caught my wrist before I could take another step. The contact hit like a spark. My breath caught. His hand was warm, too warm, strong enough to hold me still without hurting me, which somehow made it worse. I looked up at him, and his eyes were already on me. Nothing here touches you first, he said. The words should have annoyed me. They did annoy me. They also did something stupid to my chest. You lot make safety sound like a threat, I said. It is, to anything that comes near you. Maya groaned behind us. Can you two not do haunted basement foreplay right now? Ralph released my wrist. Rena moved toward the door, careful not to touch it. These markings are old. Wolf? I asked. No, her voice dropped. Faye? The words slid through the corridor. Faye. It should have sounded ridiculous, like storybooks, wings, pretty people doing unethical things in forests. Instead, the symbols on the door shivered. A whisper brushed my ear. Shannara. I spun around. Who said that? Everyone stared at me. Ralph's posture shifted instantly. What did you hear? My name. Isaiah cursed under his breath. Rena looked at the door like it had just smiled. Ralph pulled a silver key from his pocket and unlocked 3 separate bolts. The final lock opened only after he pressed his thumb to a crescent-shaped mark and murmured something low enough that I could not hear. The door groaned open. The room beyond smelled of dust, old paper, and blood. Not fresh. Old enough to have become part of the stone. Inside were crates, broken shelves, and a long table covered in files. Photographs had been pinned to the far wall. Children's faces, school pictures, charity profiles, newspaper clippings about missing kids. My throat tightened. Oliver's photo was there. So were others from Foundation. Maya covered her mouth. No! Ralph went deadly still. Isaiah crossed the room and began searching the table. Rena lifted one folder, then another, her expression getting worse with every page. These are charity records, she said. Guest lists, donor access, family background checks. I moved closer and saw my own event schedule photocopied inside one of the folders. My handwriting sat in the margin. My stomach turned. They used the gala, I whispered. Isaiah's voice was grim. Not only the gala. He spread several pages across the table. Each child's name had marks beside it, strange bloodline notes, words I did not understand. Seer potential, old blood, door compatible. Maya's voice shook. They weren't just feeding. Rena looked at me. They were searching. The whisper came again, softer this time. Open. I backed into Ralph before I realized I had moved. His hands settled at my waist, only for a second. Then Isaiah found a black folder tucked beneath a loose stone in the wall. He opened it. His face changed. Ralph noticed. "What?" Isaiah did not answer. He turned the folder around. At the top of the page was a list of future targets, and my name was written first. Beside it, in red ink, were 3 words: Dream Girl Alive. By the time we left the room behind the red door, my name had stopped feeling like mine. It sat on that list like a death sentence. Dream Girl Alive. Ralph folded the paper and slipped it into the black folder with a calm that made me want to slap him. "That's it?" I asked. "My name is written at the top of a vampire shopping list, and you're doing your scary statue routine?" His eyes cut to me. Panic helps no one. I wasn't offering panic. I was offering a normal human reaction, since none of you seem familiar with the concept. Maya nodded beside me. "Exactly. Some of us like a little screaming with our trauma." Isaiah ignored her. News of the mate bond is already spreading. My head snapped towards him. "Excuse me?" Rena muttered. "Here we go." Ralph's jaw tightened. "Not now." "Oh, absolutely now," I said. "What do you mean by spreading? Like gossip? Werewolf group chat? Carrier pigeon with anger issues?" "No secrets stay buried in a pack house," Rena said. "That is deeply inconvenient for me." "It gets worse." Of course it did. It always got worse. By afternoon, the entire house had changed. Wolves moved in clusters, voices dropping when I came near. Some watched me with curiosity, some with disgust. One woman actually sniffed as I passed, like I was questionable milk in the back of the fridge. I stopped and stared at her. She looked away first. Small victories mattered when your life had turned into supernatural bullshit. Maya walked beside me with her chin high and fear hiding behind lip gloss. "If one more person sniffs near me, I'm reporting this house to environmental health." "They're not sniffing you," I said. "That does not improve my mood." We were taken to a large room at the front of the house, one I had not seen before. It looked less like a sitting room and more like a place rich people went to ruin lives. Dark wood, heavy curtains, a long table, red moon crests carved into the walls, and wolves. So many wolves. They filled the room with stillness and expensive clothes, or quiet power and watchful eyes. Not the friendly kind of quiet, the predator kind. The Netflix Lion documentary came back to me again. Only now I was not behind a screen. I was standing in the grass. At the head of the table stood Ralph, dressed in black, expression carved from granite. Isaiah took his place on one side. Rena stood on the other, arms folded, looking like she was already bored of everyone and willing to commit crimes about it. Then the council arrived. They came through the double doors as if London had personally rolled out a blood-red carpet. 3 alphas and 2 older wolves whose power made the air feel heavier. A silver-haired woman with sharp eyes. A broad man with a scar across his cheek. Another woman in a navy suit who stared at me like I was paperwork she intended to reject. Then Christine walked in. I knew it was Christine before anyone said her name. Some women entered the rooms. Christine made the room adjust itself around her. She was beautiful in a polished, dangerous way, all perfect hair, red lips, and a cream dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. She looked at Ralph first, not as if he was her alpha, but as if he was something already promised to her. My stomach twisted. I hated that. I hated that I noticed. "Ralph," she said softly. His face did not change. "Christine." That was all. One word. Still, it felt too familiar. Christine's gaze moved to me, slow and assessing. She did not look angry. Angry would have been easier. She looked amused, like fate had made a cheap joke, and she was waiting for the punchline. "So, this is the human." Maya leaned close to my ear. "She looks like someone who would poison your tea and correct your grammar while you died." A laugh tried to climb out of me at the worst possible time. Rena's mouth twitched. Ralph heard it. Of course he did. His eyes flicked to me, and for a second, I saw something almost alive in them. Then the council started talking. About me. Not to me. About... The bond was rejected, asked the scarred alpha. Ralph's voice was flat. I rejected it. And she refused. She did not understand the words, Isaiah said. She refused, Ralph corrected. My head turned slowly. Do not make me sound like I signed a magical contract with full terms and conditions. No one cared. The woman in navy narrowed her eyes. A human mate weakens Red Moon. A human mate under vampire interest endangers all territories, another said. Christine stepped forward. There is a practical solution. Her memories can be cleaned. She can be returned to her life with no knowledge of us. My blood ran cold. Maya's hand found mine and squeezed hard. Cleaned? I said. Christine gave me a pleasant smile. You would not suffer. Humans survive softened memories all the time. Softened memories, Maya repeated. That is a very pretty way to say brain damage, babe. Christine ignored her. Ralph can still choose properly. A Luna from wolf blood would strengthen Red Moon and settle the pack. There it was. Choose properly. Like I was a mistake in a dress. Ralph's voice dropped. No one touches her mind. The room went silent. That should not have warmed anything inside me. It did anyway, and I hated him for it. The scarred alpha studied him. Your judgment is compromised. My judgment is the only reason you are standing in a protected house instead of picking vampire teeth out of your throat. A low ripple moved through the room. Threat. Power. Ralph did not raise his voice, which somehow made it worse. The silver-haired woman looked at me. Do you understand what you are, girl? I lifted my chin. Currently, exhausted, kidnapped, and one insult away from throwing a chair. Maya whispered, Make it the heavy one. The woman's eyes sharpened. You stand in a wolf court. No, I said, fear finally burning into anger. I stand in a room where everyone has discussed wiping my memory, removing me from protection, and handing my life around like I'm an unwanted raffle prize. Ralph looked at me. I ignored him. You want to know what I understand? I understand vampires have my name. I understand children are missing. I understand there's a red door under this house calling me by a name I never gave it. And I understand this furry parliament with anger issues has spent 10 minutes debating me like I'm not standing right here. The room exploded. Growls rolled from every direction. Maya stepped closer to me, then clearly remembered the survival lesson and whispered, I am not running. Look at me growing as a person. Rena turned her face away, but not fast enough. I saw the laugh she nearly swallowed. Christine did not laugh. Christine smiled. It was worse. A sharp tongue does not make a Luna, she said. Good, I replied, because I didn't apply for the job. Her eyes glittered. No, you stumbled into it and endangered everyone. Ralph moved then, one step only, but every wolf in the room reacted. Mine. The word did not come from him. It came from the air between us. Or maybe from somewhere inside my own chest. I swallowed, suddenly aware of how close he stood, how his anger wrapped around me like a wall, how part of me wanted to lean back into it, even while the smarter part of me wanted to kick him in the shin. The council conferred in low voices. I caught pieces. Liability. Bonded. Human weakness. Vampire interest. Trial. That last word landed badly. Ralph heard it too. No. The silver-haired woman faced him. Yes. I will not allow it. You failed to break the bond. You brought a human under pack protection. You made Red Moon vulnerable in front of every territory in Europe. Her eyes moved to me. If she remains, she must prove she will not collapse at the first scent of danger. Maya lifted a hand. Sorry, quick question. Are you about to suggest something illegal, immoral, or just extremely fucking weird? Isaiah murmured. Maya? What? I like to know the category of nonsense early. The scarred alpha smiled without humour. The first Luna trial. The room went still again. My heartbeat thudded once, hard. What is that? I asked. Christine answered, her voice sweet as poison. A test of scent, nerve, and survival. Ralph's eyes had gone fully gold. She is human. Exactly, Christine said, I looked between them. Someone explain before I start biting people emotionally. The silver-haired woman stepped closer. At dawn, you will cross Red Moon territory from the eastern boundary to the Old Moonstone. Trackers from rival packs will hunt your scent. Maya's mouth fell open. You're hunting her, like a fox, in London. Are you people insane? If she reaches the stone before she is caught, the woman continued, she may remain under Red Moon protection. And if I don't? I asked. Christine's smile widened. Then your memories are wiped, she said, and Ralph chooses a Luna worthy of his pack. Ralph growled. Not a human sound. The windows trembled, but no one took it back. The council had spoken, and every wolf in that room looked at me as if they had already heard the starting gun. At dawn, they were going to hunt me. I did not sleep after the council announced my public werewolf hunting experience. Funny that. Maya tried to pretend she was calm by reorganizing the room like furniture placement could defeat ancient wolf lore. She moved the chair back against the door, checked the window lock 6 times, then sat on the bed holding the marble bookend. If they catch you, she said quietly, I'll fight them. I looked at her. She lifted her chin. Badly, yes, but with passion. That nearly broke me. I wanted to cry, but anger had jammed itself too tightly in my throat. They're not catching me, I said. The door opened before Maya could answer. Ralph stood there, black coat, dark eyes, murder mood fully loaded. Come. Maya pointed the bookend at him. If this is your version of a romantic walk, seek help. His gaze did not leave me. I have until dawn to teach her how not to die. I got up, because I hated him. Because I needed him. Because surviving mattered more than pride, and that pissed me off most of all. He took me through the back of the house, past sleeping corridors and watchful guards, until we reached the gardens. Beyond them, Red Moon territory stretched into woodland, old stone walls, hidden paths, and dark earth damp from night rain. London was somewhere beyond all this. Traffic, streetlights, corner shops, normal people sleeping through normal problems. I missed normal so much it hurt. Ralph stopped beneath a twisted oak. They will track fear first. I folded my arms. Brilliant. I'll simply stop being terrified. Why didn't I think of that? His jaw ticked. Fear has a scent. Everything has a scent to you a lot. Fear, lies, probably bad credit. You joke when you're afraid. I joke because screaming wastes moisture. For 1 second, his mouth almost moved. Almost. Then he stepped behind me. My whole body went still. Close your eyes, he said. No. Shannara. The way he said my name annoyed my common sense. I closed my eyes. The night seemed to get louder. Leaves whispering, distant guards walking, my own breathing. Ralph behind me, not touching, but close enough that his heat pressed into my back. You hear the West Patrol? He asked. I hear trees and my poor life choices. His hand lifted. 2 fingers touched the inside of my wrist. My pulse betrayed me so loudly I knew he felt it. You are thinking like prey, he said. I am prey in this situation. No. You are smaller, slower, weaker. Wow, put that on a Valentine's card. But you are not stupid. His voice dropped lower. That is what they will underestimate. I opened my eyes, but he did not move away. My breath caught in my chest. His face was close enough for me to see the faint shadow beneath his eyes, the strain he tried to hide. He was furious about the trial, not for show, not for politics. For me, that knowledge slipped under my skin where I did not want it. He released my wrist. Wolves expect a chase. Do not give them one. So he taught me. Not gently. Ralph Blackwood did not have a gentle setting. He barked instructions, dragged me back when I moved wrong, made me walk the same muddy path 3 times until I stopped snapping twigs like a drunk burglar. He taught me to step where roots broke the earth. To move against the wind instead of with it, to use water when I could. Rain helps, he said, crouching beside a shallow stream near the lower gardens. Mud holds scent, but water breaks it. I stared at the stream. You want me to get in that? Yes. It's freezing. Yes. I hate you. You are alive to do it. I got in. The cold bit up my legs and nearly stole my soul. Ralph watched me with an expression that gave away nothing, but his hands curled into fists when I shivered. Interesting. Annoying. Terrible information. After that, Rena appeared with a bag. "Contraband," she said brightly. Inside were perfume samples, coffee grounds, crushed mint, packets of pepper, lemon oil, and one tiny bottle of cheap body spray that smelled like a nightclub toilet at 2 a.m. Ralph recoiled like someone had stabbed him. I looked at Rena with new respect. "You beautiful criminal." She winked. "Human nonsense has its uses." Maya had sent a hoodie too, hers, covered in her perfume, cocoa butter, fear, and stubbornness. A note was stuffed inside. "If you die, I'll resurrect you and kill you myself. Love you." I pressed the hoodie to my chest for 1 second too long. Ralph looked away. Dawn came too fast. The eastern boundary of Red Moon territory sat near an old brick wall swallowed by ivy. Beyond it, London was waking up grey and wet. Inside the boundary, wolves waited. Council wolves, rival trackers. Christine stood among them in a fitted coat, hair perfect, smile calm. She looked like she had come to watch a horse race, except I was the horse and the prize was my memories. The silver-haired councilwoman raised her hand. "Reach the old moonstone before capture, and you remain under Red Moon protection. If you are caught, your human life will be restored after cleansing." "Memory wipe," I corrected. "Say it ugly." Her mouth tightened. Maya stood beside Rena near the boundary, furious and helpless. Isaiah stood close enough to stop her from doing something illegal. Ralph was not allowed near me once the trial began. That had been Christine's idea. Of course it fucking had. He stood several feet away, power rolling off him in silent waves. His eyes met mine. "Remember," he said. I did. "Do not run like prey. Do not move straight. Use what they hate. Use what they dismiss. Be human." The horn sounded. I ran. Not fast at first. That was the hardest part. Every instinct screamed at me to sprint until my lungs tore open, but I forced myself into the route Ralph had drilled into me. Gravel first, then wet leaves, then the stream. Behind me, the trackers waited through my head start. 30 seconds. It felt like 3. When the second horn blew, the woods changed. Growls rolled through the trees. My heart tried to climb out of my throat. I hit the stream and splashed through it, teeth clenched against the cold. On the other side, I dragged Maya's hoodie over a low branch and shoved coffee grounds beneath the roots. Then I sprayed the cheap body spray so hard the air became offensive. Somewhere behind me, a wolf snarled. "Good. Choke on that, bitch." I doubled back through mud, smeared lemon oil on a rock, then crawled under thorn bushes that ripped at my sleeves and caught in my hair. My breathing turned ragged, but I did not stop. The old moonstone was northwest. A wolf passed so close I saw rain shining on its dark fur. Massive, silent, beautiful in the worst way. Netflix lions my arse. This was worse. This was being inside the documentary while the narrator whispered she had made a fatal mistake. The wolf sniffed. I did not breathe. Then it turned toward the coffee grounds and body spray. I waited until it moved away before crawling out. My knees were soaked. My palms stung. My pride had left my body somewhere near the stream. But I was still free. The trees thinned ahead. For 1 mad second I thought I saw the moonstone through the mist. Then a voice shouted my name. "Shannara!" I froze. No, that was not a wolf. That was Dave. I turned toward the eastern edge and saw him beyond the Ironside gate, gripping the bars, eyes wild. His jacket was half-zipped, hair damp from rain, face full of panic and anger. "Shannara, what the hell is going on?" My dream slammed back into me. Dave outside the gates, blood on his shirt, bites on his neck. He looked unbitten now, but the sight of him there twisted everything inside me. "Dave, leave!" I shouted. A wolf growled behind me. Dave's human scent hit the territory like a flare. The trackers shifted direction. Everything broke. "Run!" I screamed at him. But then I heard it. A child crying. Small, broken, close. My blood turned cold. I looked toward the moonstone, then toward the sound. "No," I whispered. "No, no, no." I knew it could be a trap. Of course I knew, but the cry came again, wet and terrified, from the trees between me and the boundary. A child. I moved before sense could stop me. Branches whipped my arms as I ran toward the sound. Behind me, wolves thundered closer. Dave was still shouting. Someone roared my name, and I knew it was Ralph because my whole body reacted to the command in it. I found the child kneeling beside a moss-covered stone, small shoulders shaking, hair hanging over their face. "Hey," I whispered, slowing. "It's okay. I'm here." The crying stopped. The child lifted their head. Their eyes were black from edge to edge. Then they smiled with a mouth too old for their face. The burned man wants the dream girl. Chapter 8. The Hollow Gate. The child's smile did not belong on a child. It stretched too slowly, too carefully, like someone older was wearing that small face from the inside. The burned man wants the dream girl. My body locked. Behind me, wolves crashed through the trees. In front of me, the child lifted one muddy hand. Something silver flashed between their fingers. "Shannara!" Ralph's voice hit the woods like thunder. I moved too late. The child lunged. I stumbled back over a root, my arms going up on instinct. The silver blade caught my sleeve instead of my skin, slicing fabric clean open. Then Ralph was there, not running, arriving. 1 second there had been empty rain and trees, and the next he stood between us, his hand around the child's wrist. His claws were out, his eyes burning gold, but he did not hurt them. That was the first thing my terrified brain noticed. He could have snapped that small wrist like a twig. He didn't. "Bloodbound," he snarled. The child screamed, not in fear. In pain. Black veins crawled around their eyes, spreading under their skin like ink in water. Their body jerked hard, too hard, the silver blade dropping into the mud. "Don't hurt them!" I shouted, even though I was shaking so badly my teeth knocked together. Ralph did not look back. "Stay behind me. Don't kill them," I said behind me. Something moved in the trees. A vampire stepped out between two oaks, smiling with blood on his mouth and rain in his hair. "Give her to us, Alpha. The burned man only wants what was promised." The woods exploded. Wolves hit from both sides. Rival trackers who had been hunting me seconds ago turned on the real threat with a fury that made the ground feel alive. Isaiah came from nowhere, tackling a second vampire before it reached Dave at the gate. Dave. Shit. He was still there, shouting my name, one hand through the iron bars like an idiot trying to lose fingers. 2 Red Moon guards dragged him back from the boundary while he fought them. "Shannara, what the fuck is going on?" I did not get to answer. The vampire in front of us opened his mouth, and the child's body bent backward with a scream. Ralph moved. It was horrible. It was beautiful. It was not human. His body blurred, power ripping through him as claws tore through the vampire's throat. Blood hit the wet leaves. The vampire tried to laugh without a working neck, and Ralph ripped again until there was nothing left to laugh with. I heard bone break. I smelled blood. The child collapsed. I caught them before their heads struck the ground. Their eyes rolled, black fading into frightened brown. They looked up at me, suddenly small again. "Mummy?" My heart cracked straight down the middle. "It's okay," I whispered, though nothing was okay. "You're okay." Ralph crouched in front of us, his face still half monster, blood running down his hands. "The blood leash is broken." I stared at him. What does that mean? It means they were not vampires. His jaw tightened. They were used. Used like bait, like a weapon, like one more child on a list. The trial ended in mud, blood, and screaming politics. I barely remembered getting back to my feet. Someone took the child from my arms. Someone else covered me with a coat that smelled like wolf and smoke. Christine was shouting near the tree line. The silver-haired councilwoman was arguing with Ralph. "She abandoned the route," Christine snapped. "She failed the trial." Ralph turned his head slowly. The whole clearing shut up. She ran toward a crying child while wolves hunted her, he said, voice low enough to make my skin prickle. If any wolf here calls that weakness, say it again. No one did, not one brave, furry bastard. I should have enjoyed that. Instead, I turned away and vomited into the mud. It came out of me violently, all fear and bile and the horrible memory of Ralph tearing a vampire open like it was paper. My knees hit the wet ground. Shame burned hot through me. Brilliant. Survived a supernatural hunt, found a possessed child, nearly got stabbed, and now I was bent over like a drunk girl outside a kebab shop. Don't, I muttered, when I saw Ralph's boots stop beside me. He said nothing. I swear to God, if you tell me I'm weak. He held out a bottle of water. That was it. No insult, no cold lecture, no alpha bullshit wrapped in arrogance. Just water. I took it with shaking hands. Ralph stepped in front of me, blocking my view of the bodies behind him. Do not look, he said. For once I listened, mostly because I had nothing left in me to argue with, and because there was something different about the way he stood there. Not like I was property, not like I was a problem he hated having, like he was a wall, like he would let the whole bloody forest come through him before it touched me. I hated how much that mattered. Back at Red Moon House, Maya almost took me out at the knees. She grabbed me so hard my ribs complained. You absolute stupid, brave, terrifying cow. Do you know what you did to my blood pressure? I'm guessing something medical. I aged. I aged in real time. Isaiah stood behind her, one arm bandaged, watching the doorway like he expected more vampires to crawl out of the skirting boards. Maya turned on him. And you? Stop bleeding silently. It's dramatic and rude. His mouth twitched. Actually twitched. I saw it. So did Maya. Her face did something confused before she covered it with attitude. Don't look at me like that, beta boy. I'm still mad. Clearly, he said. The child was taken to the infirmary. Rena came back from examining them with her usual sarcasm stripped away. Vampire blood, she said. Forced into the body, then commanded through it. A blood leash. Nasty old magic. My stomach rolled again. Maya sat beside me and squeezed my hand. Please tell me there's a normal section of this nightmare, like tax fraud. I'd enjoy tax fraud right now. Rena looked at Ralph. The child kept saying 2 words once they came round. I already knew before she said them. The gate. Ralph's expression hardened. Not the red door this time. Deeper. We went down after sunset, because apparently nearly dying before breakfast did not earn me 1 full day off. The tunnels beneath Red Moon House felt colder than before. The blue flames in the sconces leaned toward me as we passed, which I did not appreciate. Ralph walked in front, Isaiah behind. Maya stayed glued to my side, pretending she was not terrified. I'm coming, she had announced upstairs. Isaiah had said, It is not safe. Maya had replied, Neither is leaving me alone with my thoughts, yet here we are. Now he walked close enough to catch her if she fell. Rena led us past the red door and down another flight of steps carved straight into old stone. The air changed again, pressing thick against my ears. At the bottom stood an archway. Not a door, a gate. Black stone curved from floor to ceiling, carved with symbols that shifted when I tried to focus on them. Silver lines ran through it like veins. In the centre was only darkness, sealed flat as glass. The hollow gate, Rena said softly, Fey-made, sealed for generations. Why is it under your house? I asked. Because Red Moon was built to guard it, Ralph said. I stared at him. You lot have a magic portal basement and somehow I'm still the problem. No one laughed. That made it worse. The gate whispered. Not words. Not yet. Just a sound like nails trailing down the inside of my skull. I stepped closer. Ralph caught my wrist. Do not touch it. I looked at his hand on me, then at the gate. The whisper became children crying. My throat tightened. I have to. No, you don't. For once in your emotionally damaged life, stop telling me what I have to do. His grip tightened for 1 second. Then he let go. I placed my palm against the stone. The world vanished. Children stood behind glass walls, hands pressed flat, mouths open in silent screams. Vampires moved around them with silver bowls, catching blood like it was wine. The room smelled of rot, roses, and smoke. At the centre sat a man on a blackened throne. His face was ruined by old fire, but his smile was alive. The burned man lifted a silver bowl toward me. "Open, dream girl." I ripped my hand away and fell back into Ralph's chest, gasping. Maya grabbed my arm. "Shannara?" The gate breathed. Then it spoke. Not dream girl, not human, not mate. It whispered my full name, including the family name I had never given Red Moon. The name my grandmother used to say only after locking every door. Shannara Imani Adiemi Baptiste.
The hollow gate had spoken her full name, and every stone beneath my house had answered, Shannara Imani Adiemi Baptiste. The name had not left my head, not when Isaiah sealed the lower tunnels, not when Rena ordered 3 witches to reinforce the wards, not when the council demanded answers I did not have. The gate knew her blood. The vampires knew her face. The burned man knew enough to send a child with black eyes into my territory. So by dusk, I did the only thing that made sense. I invited the monsters in. Red Moon House became a lie, dressed in gold. The ballroom glittered beneath chandeliers. Champagne flowed, music curled through the air, and every guest pretended they had not come carrying teeth beneath polite smiles. Rival alphas arrived in tailored suits. Witches wore silver charms at their throats. Vampires under treaty entered through the west doors, each one marked with a binding sigil at the wrist. No one crossed my threshold without permission. No one left without being watched. Isaiah stood beside me near the head of the ballroom, his expression carved from the same stone as the house. "This is a risk," he said. "It is bait. That does not make it better. It makes it useful." His eyes shifted briefly toward the staircase. "And Shannara?" My wolf stirred at her name. I kept my face empty. "She will be guarded. She will know she is bait." "She is not bait." Isaiah said nothing. Wise man. Rena appeared at my other side with a glass of champagne she had no intention of drinking. "You do realize this is the most dramatic way possible to avoid talking about your feelings." "I do not have feelings. You have a ballroom full of predators, one furious human mate upstairs, and the emotional range of a locked coffin. Forgive me for noticing." I ignored her, mostly because she was not wrong, and killing family at a public gathering was considered poor leadership. Then Shannara came down the stairs. For one savage second, the room ceased to exist. She wore black silk threaded with gold, the fabric clinging where it wanted and falling where it should have had no right to fall. Her brown skin glowed beneath the chandelier light. Rena had put gold at her throat and wrists, as if Shannara was something ancient dragged out of a royal tomb. My wolf rose so hard my bones ached. Mine. No, not mine. Not like that. Not when I had rejected her. Not when every instinct in me still treated the word human like poison. Shannara reached the bottom step and looked at me as if she knew exactly how badly she had disturbed my control. "Well?" she asked. I should have said she looked beautiful. I should have said nothing. Instead I said, "You look suitable." Rena closed her eyes like she was praying for patience. Shannara stared at me, then her mouth curved. "Careful, Alpha. With poetry like that I might faint." Several wolves nearby pretended not to hear. They heard. Every bastard in the room heard. I offered her my arm. "Stay close." "Is that a request or a command?" "Yes." Her eyes narrowed. "You are deeply shit at conversation. And you are deeply talented at attracting danger. Not my fault danger keeps having your face." She placed her hand on my arm. The bond snapped awake. Heat cut through my suit, through my skin, through every cold thing I had built inside myself. Her pulse jumped beneath her wrist. She felt it too. I knew she did by the way her fingers tightened for half a breath before she pulled herself back together, brave, furious, terrified. Still standing. The council watched as I led her into the ballroom. Christine stood near the silver-haired alpha, dressed in red and diamonds, her smile sharpened for blood. I announced Shannara to the room because politics demanded it, and because I wanted every predator present to understand exactly where my protection lay. Shannara Adeyemi Baptiste, I said, my mate, under Red Moon law and Red Moon protection. The word mate moved through the ballroom like a struck match. Some wolves lowered their eyes. Some did not. The vampires smiled. I remembered each face. Christine approached first because of course she did. You look well for someone who nearly failed her trial. Shannara lifted her chin. And you look disappointed I survived. We all have burdens. Rena coughed into her glass. Christine's smile did not move. A Luna requires more than luck and a mouth. Good thing I didn't apply for the position. Yet here you stand beside him. Shannara glanced at me. Yes, well, the kidnappers were very organized. My wolf did not like Christine speaking to her. It liked even less that Shannara refused to hide behind me. Christine's eyes flicked to me. You should teach your human when to be quiet. I stepped forward. Shannara's hand tightened on my sleeve before I could do something enjoyable and politically inconvenient. No need, she said sweetly. I charge extra for silence. For the first time that evening, I almost smiled. Then the wards shivered, not from vampire blood, human, male, familiar through her scent. My control went still and lethal. Dave entered the ballroom wearing a damp coat, confusion, fear, and cheap aftershave. A Red Moon usher led him in, but the man's eyes were too carefully blank, compelled. Christine's smile widened by a fraction. I looked at her. You invited him. I thought your mate deserved a piece of her human life. I will remember that. You always do. Dave saw Shannara and pushed past the usher. Shannara. She went rigid beside me, not with longing, with shock. Good. Then I hated myself for caring about the distinction. Dave, she said, you shouldn't be here. He looked from her hand on my arm to my face. His fear soured into anger. What the hell is this? I've been calling you. Your mum doesn't know where you are. Nobody knows anything. And now you're dressed like this next to him. My claws pressed beneath my nails. Shannara stepped away from me. Keep your voice down. No, I want answers. This is not the place. Then leave with me. Every wolf nearby listened. Every vampire smiled into their glass. Dave reached for her hand. I caught his wrist before he touched her. His bones were fragile beneath my fingers. Human, breakable, too easy. Shannara's voice cut in. Ralph. One word, not soft, not pleading, warning. I released him. Dave swallowed, trying to pretend he had not felt death lean close. What is he to you? That is complicated, she said. Then simplify it. I should have had him removed. Instead, I watched my mate choose her own next step, because if I dragged her behind me like property, I would prove every ugly thing she believed about me. Dave held out his hand. Dance with me. No, I said. Shannara looked at me. I wasn't aware you controlled my legs. My jaw tightened. She took Dave's hand. My wolf tried to tear through my skin. The music shifted. Dave pulled her onto the floor, too close, his hand at her waist, his mouth near her ear. I heard every word because he was human and stupid enough to think distance helped. Are you sleeping with him? Dave asked. Shannara stiffened. Are you mad? He's done something to you. You don't understand what's happening. Then tell me. I can't. Not here. He's using you. The accusation struck deeper than I wanted it to. because he was not entirely wrong. At first she had been a curse with a heartbeat, a human answer to a goddess's punishment, a way to keep my wolf. Now I did not know what she was. That was the problem. Dave's hand tightened at her waist. My vision narrowed. Isaiah appeared at my side. Alpha, move. If you rip the human apart in front of the council, Christine wins. I said move. And Shannara hates you. That stopped me. Fucking bastard. He knew exactly where to cut. Before I could answer, his expression changed. His eyes unfocused with the pack link. Then mine caught the same disturbance. Maya. She had slipped beyond the south arch into the restricted corridor. Of course she had. Get her, I ordered. Isaiah was already moving. Across the room, Shannara ended the dance and stepped back from Dave. Her mouth was tight, her eyes bright with anger she refused to waste in public. Dave caught her arm. I crossed half the ballroom before thought caught up. Take your hand off her, I said. Dave looked up at me like a man with no survival instinct. Or what? Shannara pulled free herself. Both of you stop measuring dicks in public. This is not the time. Rena muttered somewhere behind me. I disagree. It's the best entertainment we've had all evening. Then Isaiah's voice cut through the pack link. Alpha. Everything in me sharpened. We found a child in the East Service passage, alive, marked with vampire blood. My gaze went to the vampires under treaty. They were still smiling. One lifted his glass. Shannara swayed, not from weakness, from vision. The scent hit me before I saw it. Rain, iron, and old fey magic. Her eyes fixed on nothing. Her lips parted. The bond turned cold in my chest. Shannara. She looked straight at me. No sarcasm, no anger, only horror. Ralph, she whispered. Behind me, silver burned the air. In the dark reflection of the window, a masked guest stepped out from behind a pillar, knife raised for my heart. I did not feel the knife first. I felt Shannara. Her terror ripped through the bond like a blade of its own, sharp enough to cut beneath my ribs. Ralph. One word. One warning. I turned. Isaiah moved at the same time, his warning slamming through the pack link a breath too late. Silver. The blade came from my heart. I twisted. It missed by inches and buried itself beneath my left shoulder instead. Pain detonated through me. Silver did not cut like steel. Steel wounded the body. Silver hated the wolf. It burned through flesh, muscle, bone, and instinct, dragging fire along every nerve until my vision flashed gold and black. The masked vampire behind me smiled. I broke his wrist. He screamed. Good. I ripped the knife out of my own body and drove it through his throat before he could step back. His blood sprayed across my hand, hot and wrong, and his body hit the marble floor hard enough to crack it. The ballroom erupted. Screams tore through the music. Champagne glasses shattered. Wolves shifted halfway beneath silken suits, claws ripping through expensive fabric. Vampires dropped their polite masks and showed teeth. The Red Moon Social became what it had always been beneath the chandeliers. A room full of monsters. Seal the doors, I snarled through the pack link. No vampire leaves breathing. Isaiah answered instantly. Rena moved toward the human staff with two wolves at her back, her dress flashing silver as she drew a blade from beneath all that elegance. Christine stood near the council, watching too carefully. I would deal with her later. If there was a later. Shannara shoved through the chaos toward me. Of course she did. Any sensible person would have run. My mate had apparently been born without that basic survival feature. You're bleeding, she said, eyes wide but focused. Behind me. Don't start that shit right now. A vampire launched himself over a fallen table toward her. I caught him by the face. His skull cracked under my fingers. I slammed him down and tore his throat open before he could touch the hem of her black silk dress. Shannara stared at the body for half a second. Then she swallowed hard, looked back at me. Still standing, still stubborn. Still mine in ways I did not deserve and had no right to want. "Move," I said again, rougher this time. She looked over my shoulder. Her expression changed. Not fear, recognition. "The child," she whispered. Across the ballroom, Isaiah came out of the East Service corridor with blood on his sleeve and murder in his eyes. Maya was beside him, carrying a little girl wrapped in a torn curtain. The child's wrist was marked black-red with vampire blood. Maya's hair had come loose. Her dress was ripped at the side. She had one shoe missing and a silver serving fork clenched in her fist like a weapon. "Anyone touches this baby," she shouted, voice shaking with rage, "and I swear on Beyoncé's internet, I'll stab every last one of you undead dickheads." Isaiah stared at her for one stunned second. Then he almost smiled. In the middle of a fucking attack, Shannara was already moving. I grabbed her arm. "No," she rounded on me. "That's a child." The words hit something old and savage in me. Because she was right. Because that had always been the line. Because whatever else I was, whatever hatred I carried, no predator with honor let pups be taken. I released her. "Go with Rena. Stay low. Try not to die," she snapped. I leaned closer despite the blood running down my side. "Try not to make me chase you." Her breath caught. For 1 second the chaos narrowed to her face, her brown skin warm beneath chandelier light. Her mouth parted like she wanted to curse me or bite me. Then Maya yelled, "Shannara, move your ass." The moment broke. Shannara ran to Maya. Together the two human women cut through the madness with more nerve than half the wolves in that room. Shannara took the child's hand and pulled her close. Maya kicked a vampire in the knee when he got too near, then stabbed him in the cheek with the fork. He shrieked. Maya shrieked louder. Isaiah ripped the vampire away from her and tore him apart. "See," Maya shouted at him. "Teamwork. Get to the silver room," he barked. "I am going, you bossy fur-coated nightmare." She went, still cursing, still holding the child. Still alive. Good. Another vampire came for me, then another. The silver wound slowed my left side. I felt the poison chewing through muscle, keeping the flesh from closing. My wolf raged beneath my skin, furious and hungry. But the curse had made him weaker than he should have been. Not weak, never weak, but not whole. I killed anyway. I broke one vampire over the banquet table, sending crystal and blood across white linen. I drove my claws through another's chest and crushed whatever dead thing passed for a heart. A third tried to flee through the terrace doors and found 3 red moon wolves waiting. His screams lasted 4 seconds. Too long. The treaty vampires turned on us with rehearsed precision. This had not been desperation. It had been planned. Their sigils had been tampered with. Their invitations had been clean. Someone inside my house had made this possible. My gaze cut to Christine. She was helping a council elder to safety, face composed, hands clean. Too clean. A masked vampire slipped behind Isaiah, silver blade low. I sent a command through the link. Isaiah ducked. I threw the knife from my own wound. It buried itself in the attacker's eye. He dropped. Isaiah looked at me across the ballroom. We understood each other without words. Later. If later existed. Then the air changed. The fighting did not stop. Not at once, but every predator in the room felt it. Smoke rolled beneath the doors, though nothing burned. The candles bent inward. The old wards carved into the ceiling flickered red, then black, then red again. My wolf went silent. Not afraid. Recognizing. A figure stood at the top of the main staircase. Tall, still, dressed in black. A mask covered his face. Not like the others. Theirs had been theater. His was a concealment. He smelled of old blood, ash, smoke, and something buried so deep in my memory that for one sick moment I was 18 again, standing in a burning room with rage in my hands and screaming in my ears. No, impossible. I had killed him. I had watched fire take him. The masked man descended one step, then another. Vampires drew back for him. Even the wounded crawled aside. Shannara had reached the silver-marked arch with Maya and the child. She turned, sensing what I sensed through the bond. Her eyes found mine across the ruined ballroom. Stay back, I wanted to command, but my throat had locked around a dead man's ghost. The figure stopped 10 feet from me. Alpha Blackwood, he said. The voice dragged over my bones, burned, roughened, familiar. My claws punched fully through my fingers. You're dead, I said. The mask tilted. A smile lived behind it. I felt it. Am I? He lifted one hand and removed the mask. The ballroom vanished. There was only the ruined face beneath. Fire had eaten him and left mockery behind. Scarred flesh twisted across his skull. One side of his mouth pulled too high. His cheek was a melted map of old agony. His eyes, though his eyes were the same. Cruel. Human once. Worse now. My stepfather smiled at me with the mouth of a vampire and the hatred of the man I had burned alive. Then his gaze shifted. Not to the council. Not to my wolves. To Shannara. He looked at her like she was a key. Like she was a prize. Like she belonged to him. My wolf came back with a roar that shook every window in the house. The burned man's smile widened. You should have made sure I stayed dead, boy.
Stay in my arms when the morning touches your face. I forget every heavy thing. Even silence sounds like music when you breathe next to me. Stay in my arms tonight. Let the world fade slowly. Your name feels like a prayer on my lips, like heaven finally knows me. You smile and my fears grow weaker, like shadows losing shape. And every dream I bury deep inside starts waking up again. Hold me close when the nights turn cold, when my strength feels out of place. Your touch is the only language that calms the storm